A quiet beginning soon turns into an unforgettable journey. This movie is packed with mystery, action, and surprising twists that keep you guessing. Let's dive into the story and uncover what happens from start to finish.
The planet Eternia is the beating heart of the cosmos. In the capital city of Aeternos, Castle Grayskull protects an ancient weapon known as the Sword of Power, which can make a man as mighty as a god. Legend says that when Eternia is in its greatest need, a hero would wield the sword to save it. Until that time comes, the castle is under the protection of the sorceress. Meanwhile, Prince Adam doesn't want to attend combat classes because he's not good at fighting and the other kids are bigger than him. He's rather stay home and play with his tiger Cringer, but Queen Marlena forces him to go anyway. The classes are taught by Duncan, the royal guard and father of Adam's best friend Teela. She's a very good warrior and easily defeats Adam during training. King Randor comes to watch the class and is disappointed to see that his son is a wimp. He forces Adam to fight him with real swords and obviously brings down the poor kid with just a few brutal moves. Then Randor makes Adam repeat that this world has no place for the weak. Later Teela tries to comfort Adam, but they're distracted when they see the sorceress glowing at Castle Grayskull. Suddenly a huge fleet of ships appears in the sky and starts bombing the city, so Duncan sends out the army to fight as the enemy army lands near the palace. The royal guard has a few special soldiers known as the heroic warriors. Ram Man attacks with his powerful headbutt, Mechanek extends his neck to bring down multiple enemies, and Fisto throws some heavy punches with his metal hand. While violence takes over every street, Duncan escorts Teela and the royal family through the battlefield. His guards are quickly brought down, but he's still a mighty warrior who can fight multiple enemies at the same time. In a corridor they encounter the dangerous Trapjaw, so Duncan tells the group to leave without him. The battle begins and both men show amazing skills as they keep landing hits on each other with no mercy. As the fight becomes more brutal, Teela secretly returns to watch it. Duncan manages to stab Trapjaw and proceeds to beat him up, but Trapjaw quickly responds by transforming his arm into a cannon and shooting him. Then Trapjaw sets up a bomb on the wall and leaves. Teela rushes to her father and helps him move to the window, so they manage to jump off the building right before the bomb explodes. On the bridge to the castle, the royals are surrounded by bad guys and their leader Skeletor. Randor sends his family away before he draws his sword and starts fighting all the enemies at the same time. He manages to defeat a few, but eventually he's overwhelmed and captured. Then Skeletor shoots magic at Randor's statue to destroy it and steals the crown as he announces his rise to power. In Castle Grayskull, the sorceress makes Adam grab the sword and asks him to take it far away to keep it safe. Marlena says they'll never find him in her home planet, so the sorceress opens a portal to Earth. When Skeletor enters the castle with his troops, Marlena protects Adam and gets shot with magic. The sorceress tells Adam to go before she creates a magic shield that blocks Skeletor's next attack. As she transforms into a bird to escape, Adam travels through the portal, and the sheer power takes the sword away from him before dropping him into a lake. 15 years later in Oklahoma, a now adult Adam finishes telling his story to a girl during a date. Obviously she thinks he's crazy and immediately leaves. When Adam gets home, his roommate Hussein tells him that he has to stop sharing that story and instead say he lost his parents during a traumatic incident, which his mind has blocked and replaced with fantasies. It seems Hussein doesn't believe him either, but Adam refuses to forget who he is. In his room, Adam looks at a drawing he did of Ram Man in school. A flashback shows that Adam presented this drawing to his class as historical, so everyone laughed at him and his teacher scolded him. Adam then pulls out a box of all the drawings he's made of his home and family through the years, trying to deal with his grief. The next day Adam goes to his very boring job at a human resources firm, where he's showered with obsessive positivity and conflict avoidance. Whenever he can, he uses his work computer to ask about his sword on the internet. Eventually his boss catches him red-handed and scolds him for not doing his job. She threatens to fire him if he doesn't stop thinking about swords, but Adam ignores her because he's received a message from a guy saying he has his sword. Adam rushes to the address the guy gives him and finds a comic store. Inside, he discovers that his sword has become a prop for a statue. When he tries to retrieve it, the sword refuses to come out and the statue falls on top of him. A customer starts recording Adam as he struggles with the sword, and after lots of effort he finally manages to pull it out. Adam says the magical words and raises the sword, but nothing happens. He then runs away with the sword, ignoring the clerk saying it's not for sale. His excitement is so big that he runs over several objects as he drives away. At home, Adam begs the sword to do something to no avail. The next morning 2 cops burst into his room to arrest him for theft. On the way to the station, the police car gets stuck in a traffic jam. Suddenly a bunch of people start running in panic and Adam discovers that Beast Man is attacking the city. As soon as it sees Adam, it jumps on the police car and rips off the door. Adam immediately grabs the sword and breaks a window to escape. Beast Man begins chasing Adam on the highway and brings him down by throwing a bunch of food boxes. Then he throws him at a truck, making him drop the sword. When Beast Man is about to kill Adam, someone shoots it in the chest. Suddenly a woman cuts in and hits Beast Man with her weapon a few times before shooting it again, which throws it off the highway. When the woman turns around and calls Adam by his name, He realizes this is Teela. Their reunion is interrupted by Beastman tackling Teela, who throws him off with a car door. Then she grabs the sword and hides with Adam while Beastman keeps looking for them by pushing cars. Teela explains that the sword sent a signal, which is how she and Beastman finally found him. The duo starts running and Teela smoothly jumps off the highway, but Adam's landing isn't as good and he almost gets hit by traffic. Beastman soon catches up to them, only to get run over by a truck. Teela and Adam keep running until they find her ship in a park, where a crowd is staring in shock. They quickly get aboard and manage to close the door before Beastman can follow them. When it tries to hang on the ship, Teela activates the portal and the motion throws Beastman off. During the trip, Teela tells Adam that Eternia has changed a lot and nobody knows what happened to his parents. When they finally arrive, Adam is devastated to discover that Aeternos is nothing but ruins. They don't notice Triclops watching them from afar. Meanwhile in the Snake Mountain Fortress, Skeletor punishes Beastman for failing to get the sword by burning it with his magic staff. The sorceress Evil Lyn informs him that the sword is now on Eternia, so Skeletor sends Beastman to retrieve it again. Evil Lyn thinks that Skeletor already won and he has everything he needs, but Skeletor is afraid it may be taken away. He furiously grabs Evil Lyn's arm, burning her as he reminds her that he needs the sword to become a god. Moments later, Teela's ship enters a subterranean base where all the survivors have been hiding. Triclops has followed them, so now the enemy knows about this location. Teela takes Adam to the heroic warriors, who don't believe that this random dude is the real prince. Adam shows them his business card, but the warriors just take the sword before putting Adam and Teela in a cell. There they find a sleeping drunkard and Roboto, a class 4 robot who is supposed to have the power of 20 soldiers. At that moment, enemy ships attack the base. Teela hears screaming and keeps trying to bring down the door to no avail. Adam asks Roboto for help and by just walking, it easily tears down the door. Before leaving, Teela wakes up the drunkard, who turns out to be Duncan. She throws water at his face and Duncan ends up puking on Adam's shoes. Since Duncan refuses to leave with them, Roboto carries him out. The group runs through the market while things keep exploding around them and Skeletor makes an entrance. When Ram Man is knocked down, he gives Adam the sword before he rejoins the fight. The team keeps dodging shots at every corner until they find a cave and Teela slides down with style, but the others follow them more clumsily. Then they hide behind some boxes and watch Trapjaw arrive with more troops. Duncan is scared of fighting him again, so Adam comes out and tries to start a peaceful dialogue like he does at work. Obviously Trapjaw isn't interested in negotiation and starts attacking Adam, cornering him against the edge of the bridge. Adam manages to dodge the attacks and tries to tackle Trapjaw, who easily throws him off. Teela reminds him to use the sword, and when Adam touches the handle, he has a vision of the sorceress telling him to say the words. Adam draws the sword and exclaims, "By the power of Grayskull I have the power," causing a magical bolt to strike the sword and knock down all the troops. The magic transforms Adam into the champion of Grayskull, but the mighty moment is interrupted by Trapjaw tackling Adam to disarm him. A fight ensues and this time Adam is more prepared. He easily blocks Trapjaw's attacks and can't be pushed, although it hurts his hand to punch back. His bracelets block all of Trapjaw's shots, allowing him to get close and grab his mechanical arm to tear it off. Now he can use this arm to shoot all the troops down. Afterward the group retrieves the sword and escapes in Teela's ship while Skeletor furiously watches. He yells at his men for their failure and sends them after the heroes. Soon the enemy fleet is chasing Teela's ship, which gets hit with a few laser shots. Teela flies high in the sky to have more room to maneuver, but the ship gets hit again and there's a hull breach. When an enemy ship attacks the cockpit with its giant saw, Teela sends Adam to the back, where he finds an air bike. It takes him a few moments to learn how to control it and almost crashes, but he manages to take off and make the enemy follow him. At the same time, Teela uses a wing to hit the soldier attacking the cockpit, which gets rid of it. Unfortunately, the hull breach is too serious and the ship starts falling. Meanwhile, Adam's bike also gets hit and he loses control of it again. He avoids falling off by holding on when it gets overturned and tries to get onto a tree to escape, but the bike keeps dragging him. With no other options, Adam throws the air bike at the soldiers to defeat them with an explosion before jumping off. He ends up landing on an enemy ship, so he breaks the window and throws the pilot out to take over the controls. On Teela's ship, Duncan rushes to the back and grabs a laser gun, but when he's about to open fire, Adam gets between him and the enemy. Duncan tries to warn him, but Adam doesn't hear him and the soldier hits his ship from behind. Adam quickly jumps and lands on Teela's ship while his goes down. The bad guy then comes after him. However, Adam stops the saw with his bare hands and throws the enemy aircraft at another ship to end it with an explosion. Afterward, Teela's ship starts descending faster, so Adam jumps off and crashes into a tree. In a different area of the forest, the ship also crashes on the ground. In the meantime, Skeletor takes control of the base and threatens to kill the survivors if they don't talk. At first everyone stays silent, so Skeletor shoots a magic beam to execute an Eternian warrior. When he's about to kill again, Fisto tells him that the champion of Grayskull is Prince Adam. Then Skeletor makes his men lock all the survivors up. In the forest, Teela tells Duncan to wait by the ship while she goes looking for Adam. Then Duncan notices a box that says Dad's and opens it to find his old armor. Meanwhile, Adam wakes up and hears the sorcerer's voice telling him to restore peace on Eternia. There's a bird perched on his sword, but it flies away when he tries to touch it. At that moment, Tila finds him and takes him back to the ship, where they find Duncan wearing his old armor and shaving. Tila is proud of him until he pulls out a flask, which makes her scold him and walk away. Duncan then reminds Adam that he must fight to protect people and not for glory. Tila needs some help with the ship, so Adam lifts it with just one hand. After she grabs some stuff, they admit how much they missed each other. Adam comes closer thinking they're about to kiss, but Tila calls him a good friend and steps back. Minutes later, Skeletor's image appears in the sky to deliver a message. If he's given the sword, then he'll release Adam's parents, whom he's kept alive all this time. If Adam refuses, Skeletor will kill them. Tila thinks this is obviously a trap, but Adam still wants to rescue his parents and plans to kill Skeletor. After a short argument, the group agrees to come with him. As they travel, the bird follows them. At the fortress, gatekeeper Goatman asks Adam for the sword, but Adam says he'll only give it to Skeletor. Evil Lynn makes Goatman take Adam to their leader while she takes care of the rest of the group. When Adam finds Skeletor, he gets ready to attack from behind. However, Skeletor steps back to reveal Rander. He asks for the sword and Adam refuses to give it to him, so Skeletor summons his special warriors. Adam doesn't hesitate to start fighting them all at the same time, showing off his amazing powers. When he is disarmed, he uses a soldier as a weapon to hit all the others. There's a monster soldier with spines on its body that Adam also uses to attack. When he finally retrieves his sword, the enemies immediately surround him, but Adam rises with a shock wave to push them off. The fight continues and Adam handles every warrior no matter what kind of crazy ability they have. Rander watches it all, finally feeling proud of his son. Goatman desperately attacks Adam with his axe and corners him on the bridge above the volcano, but Adam breaks his horns and punches him to throw him into the lava. Once all the warriors are down, Adam gets ready to attack Skeletor, but Evil Lynn uses her magic to freeze him. When Skeletor threatens to kill Rander, Adam's anger manages to break the spell and he shoots a bolt of energy that Skeletor dodges. The bolt hits the wall and the cave starts to crumble until the ceiling collapses on top of Rander. Adam immediately rushes to move all the debris and finds his father, who apologizes for not having been nicer when he was a child. Then Rander dies in his son's arms. While Adam cries, Skeletor knocks him out with his staff. When Adam wakes up, he's back in his human form in a cell with the other Eternians. Marlena is also there and Adam hugs her while giving her the bad news. Meanwhile, Skeletor raises the sword and says the right words, but nothing happens. He furiously grabs Evil Lynn's neck and demands an explanation, so she tells him she can do a special ritual if they put the sword on its original altar. Skeletor and his men immediately leave for Castle Grayskull. In the cell, Duncan and Adam bond over their feelings of failure. Adam remembers that Duncan used to tell him to never give up and they agree they have to keep fighting. They're interrupted by Tila, who has a surprise for Adam. His tiger Cringer is here too. He can talk now and licks Adam in glee. Feeling encouraged, Adam gives a speech about teamwork and shares his fond memories of every person in the crowd, convincing them to keep fighting. Then the group pushes the gate while Roboto shoots the rock above it until everything collapses. On their way out, the Eternians find a group of bad guys, but it's easy for the heroic warriors to quickly bring them all down with their abilities. Afterward, the warriors steal the enemy's ships and return to Aeternos to fight all the soldiers that have taken over their beloved city. A vicious battle ensues as the heroic warriors fight thug after thug without mercy. At the same time, Adam's group takes a ship to Castle Grayskull, and Duncan tells Tila and Adam to go ahead while he protects the bridge. Cringer is scared, but Adam convinces him that he's a battle cat and Cringer agrees to be ridden. Inside the castle, Skeletor puts the sword in the altar. At that moment, the heroes burst in and Cringer brings down the guards. Adam takes the chance to jump on the altar and retrieve the sword while Tila attacks Evil Lynn. When Tila is frozen by Evil Lynn's spell, she breaks through it and keeps on fighting. Beast Man also shows up and uses his whip on Cringer, who bites it to bring it down. On the bridge, Duncan and Roboto shoot anyone who comes close. However, the troops keep coming, so the duo shoots a statue to make it fall on the bridge, which quickly collapses. Unfortunately, Trapjaw shows up in an aircraft and opens fire at Roboto until it explodes. A furious Duncan jumps on the ship and destroys the window to tackle Trapjaw. He proceeds to beat him up and puts a grenade in his mouth before jumping out. The ship then crashes with a big explosion. Duncan rushes to check on Robot and is relieved to see that its head is still working. In the castle, Adam can't transform because he's busy blocking Skeletor's attacks. The sword receives so many magic blasts that it ends up blowing up into pieces. Skeletor picks up the handle and mocks the sword before grabbing Adam by his head, burning him until he's seeing hallucinations. In a gym, Skeletor mocks him for being a weakling before throwing a weight at him to push him into the next illusion. At the restaurant, Adam's date actually shows interest in his story. Suddenly she turns into Skeletor, who drags Adam by the hair while hitting random people. Next, Adam is thrown on his desk and his boss reminds him of their meeting. Skeletor appears in formal clothes and grabs Adam's neck, saying he'll never be a hero and that Eternia is a dream of something he isn't. Back in reality, Skeletor stabs Adam with a piece of the sword before throwing him into an illusion of his room. Hussein checks on him and reminds him to pay rent before dying. Adam looks at his old drawings and finds one of the sorceress as all the papers start flying around him. Then the bird appears in his room and begins to talk, confirming it's the sorceress. She explains that the sword doesn't matter. The spell says I have the power because the sword has transferred the power to Adam himself. As his chest glows, the sorceress transforms and tells him that she chose him as the vessel because his compassion and humanity will make him a better hero. Then Adam wakes up in the real world and removes the sword from his chest. The power heals his injury and summons the rest of the pieces to complete the sword. Adam says the magic words and finally transforms again with such power that it's seen from the city. Remembering the sorceress words, Adam tries to talk to Skeletor and asks him to end this endless cycle of violence. Skeletor laughs and attacks Adam with his magic, triggering another battle. The mocking continues as they fight since Skeletor believes that Adam doesn't know how to use this power. When Skeletor corners him, Adam's eyes glow and he explains he knows how to use his power, he just prefers not to. Then he starts beating up Skeletor without breaking a sweat. After throwing him against a column, Adam charges his fist with power before he continues the beating and throws Skeletor around like a potato sack. Seeing as her leader is losing, Evil Lyn leaves the castle. Skeletor shoots magic at Adam, who blocks it all with his bracelets. When a desperate Skeletor agrees to talk, Adam grabs his staff and charges it with power until it explodes, creating a huge shock wave that expands all over the area. Skeletor also blows up, only leaving his skull behind. Adam then reunites with his friends and they leave together. 6 months later, Aeternos is almost entirely rebuilt and Marlena is back on the throne. Roboto has a new body and Hussein has been brought to the city so he can finally believe Adam's story. When Roboto receives a distress signal from a village, Adam transforms and rides Cringer, who is armor as well. Now Adam can help people by using the heroic name He-Man. Meanwhile, Marlena watches her city and hopes that one day her other child will return as well. Near the forest, the princess appears with a similar sword. At the castle, Evil Lyn picks up Skeletor's skull.